Ben Baldwin, co-founder of ClearFit in Toronto, Canada. Key trends around hiring that have or haven't changed over the past little while. Over the past 30 years, there really hasn't been an improvement in hiring conditions. I mean, it's really broken. So tenure and turnover hasn't really improved over that period of time. And a lot of that is because it's not lack of technology. It's because there's a lot of technology that can help you manage the hiring process and save time. It's really around how to make the decision around hiring. So the behavior around hiring is really what's broken. How you understand the person across the table from you is where a lot of the challenge is. We make it super easy for absolutely anyone, first time or thousandth time hiring, to find the right person for the job. And we do that by predicting the success of those people for that role and just making the whole process easier. And the real product for the hiring manager is to have an increased level of comfort or competence with hiring and actually enjoy it and like it better. Hiring for a startup is make or break. It is the answer. If you get hiring right and screw up a couple other things, I think you're all right. If you get hiring wrong, no matter what your strategy is, you could completely bust your company. We found that the majority of the really, really good companies are looking for fit, and a lot of the misguided companies, the credentials are looking for are more skill related. The challenge when you are looking for skills and you compromise fit is that may not leave you with a great situation where someone doesn't fit your company or fit the culture or fit the role. So they may have the skills to perform, but will they actually do the job? Or we have a saying internally here, if they could become actually malignant to a team if they have a great skill set, but then they negatively affect everybody around them. So you really want to be careful if you have a baseline of skills that you need, but you know, because it's kind of useless and almost more damaging if you don't have fit to go along with that. And fit's personality, it's like motivation, and it's how they integrate with a team and how they can help your culture to expand, because culture is key. If you're attracting people based on culture, you want to make sure that people contribute to that instead of take away from it. There are a ton of options available for startups, for any size growing business, for big companies. The greatest challenge with picking the right tool is knowing why you want to pick a tool in the first place. Tools aside, again, it's behavior that's broken. There are tons of tools out there to help you. The greatest challenge for a company if they're doing hiring is what do you actually need in that role? So not just what type of person do you want? Do you want a person who's really good at making a company grow? But for your team in that role that you're hiring for, what are the outcomes that you need in 6 months, in a year? Then once you know that, the tools become a lot easier to choose. So that's what I would say is, before you even think about a tool, figure out what it is that you need in your role, and that's critical. If you're clear on what you need, it's a lot easier to figure out what behavioral interview questions to ask, and asking for past demonstration of those. It doesn't have to be the same thing. Like, they don't have to have done this before, but they have to have those behaviors baked in. And then the second piece of this, and this is in particular really difficult for Canadians, is once someone is having difficulty answering a question, asking follow-on questions. So if someone's a little uncomfortable with a behavioral interview question that you ask them, don't stop and move on to another question. It's really important to dig deeper. Last piece of advice I'd give is, in different social situations, someone can act really differently. When they're in your office, they're a little bit different than they are in the real world sometimes, actually all the time. So I know that Zappos used to, as an example, pick people up from the airport in a Zappos van and drive them to the facility, and that was the interview. It wasn't by the time by the time you got to the interview was over. So it's those in-between moments of who a person really is. I mean, you can't trick people, but that's really important. So we found it really useful to go out for a lunch with someone so you can see how they treat servers. It'll give you a good indication into what aspects of your culture they're demonstrating or not demonstrating. And you cannot compromise on, again, you can't compromise on fit, or else you're in deep trouble because it affects your entire team. Most startups need to hire either key managers or key performers in their organizations to figure out who those people are. It's very organic, and those behaviors have been around forever. So the technology is going to win. It is a technology that affects the behavior around the people who are doing the hiring and the people who are being hired or discovering jobs.